Welcome back to The Wrench in the Machine, the podcast that disrupts the status quo and explores the exciting future of manufacturing. I am your host, Mehak Bhatia, and I am a technology landscape analyst. I research the tech industry to identify trends and opportunities. In today's episode, we are diving into a topic critical for any manufacturer looking to stay ahead of the curve. That is, building a culture of innovation. And joining me to share his insights is Dipankar Ghosh, a seasoned professional with extensive experience in the manufacturing industry and passionate for technology. Dipankar, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Mehak. Thanks very much.
It's a pleasure having you, Dipankar. Let's start. So, Dipankar, in your experience, why is a culture of innovation so crucial for manufacturers today?
Well, you see, uh, there is a constant churn in manufacturing for many years now. The landscape is evolving, and there are a lot of tech advances that are taking place. For instance, automation, AI, 3D printing, Industry 4.0, and a lot more. At the same time, customers are demanding personalization and speed of delivery, and sustainability has become a very important factor for the customers. Sustainability practices in the products that you build, the factories that you run, etc., etc. And therefore, because of this increasingly competitive environment, there is a need for adaptability and innovation. And an innovation culture always encourages creative problem solving, and it creates new opportunities where you are able to identify them much sooner than your competitor. And innovation culture also helps you develop more efficient processes so that you can uh, deliver your products and your services faster. in
Absolutely.
in that case, it's yeah, you're right. It's absolutely, this is how the culture of innovation is so important and crucial to the manufacturers today. Embracing a culture of innovation is, it's like planting a garden. Just as in the garden, if you give a proper and the right conditions to the plants, there will always be a diversity of plants in the garden, and the garden will grow very beautiful and which you can enjoy. So similarly, creative ideas also flourish in an environment that nurtures innovation.
Exactly. I think I cannot agree more. It's fascinating how much the field has evolved. But yet, I feel manufacturing is often seen as a traditional field. How can we challenge this perception and encourage innovative thinking?
You're right, Mehak. Manufacturing has been very traditional in its approach and slow to change. However, the time has come to rewrite the narrative. We all have to start challenging the traditional perception, and we have to start by developing a culture where we empower our workforce right from bottom up. Ideas should come, and therefore those ideas have to be then nurtured, and you have to allow for an environment of experimentation. You have to allow for failures to happen. That's a big thing. People are afraid of failing, and therefore they do not take risks. That's not going to help you in your journey towards innovation. You have to allow failure. You have to create an environment where people are not afraid to fail. You have to allow for pilot projects to come to fruition. You have to develop prototypes and constantly experimenting, and therefore developing a learning culture. And at the same time, when you also reward, sometimes you have to reward failures as well, in the sense that at least give a pat on the back for trying hard in coming up with something that was thought to be at least innovative. So we have to recognize and reward successes, and we have to recognize and at least give a pat in the back for failures as well. We have to acknowledge the contributions of your our team members whenever they are trying to do something new to produce a new innovative product or even make bring changes in the process with some innovative ideas. You can take Tesla as an example. It is their culture of not fearing to fail and to experiment. That is what led them to have a superior battery technology and obviously also superior autonomous driving technology as well. Therefore, when you transform manufacturing from a traditional industry to an innovative industry, it's like converting an old factory into a startup incubator. Now, an old factory is, it's a kind of a fuddy-duddy kind of an environment where people work in silos and there is not much experimentation going on, no great ideas coming through. However, what happens in a startup incubator? The startups incubators are, nurture startups with resources and mentorship, and they create a collaborative environment which fosters innovation and helps the startups to get nurtured and to grow and be successful. So if you bring that kind of environment in an old factory, you will soon see the fruits of innovation and in your company.
That is wonderful. I agree that Tesla is a brilliant example. Their fearlessness in taking the risk has certainly paid off. And coming on to next question, according to you, Dipankar, what are some concrete steps that manufacturers can take to build a culture of innovation, just like as you mentioned, Tesla had done?
A number of things can be done and should be
Mhm.
done, or rather has to be done.
Okay, sir.
Firstly, you have to create a very safe space for new ideas to come through. And as I had said earlier, people at the front line, people at the bottom who are actually, in the trenches, they are the people who can give you the best ideas in an organization because they are day in and day out facing the, real challenges that the company faces. So you have to have an open communications atmosphere or an environment where people will be safe to give their ideas. Then you must empower your people. When you empower your people, they take ownership and they make decisions on their own as to what is good and what is bad. And they also learn in the process. We talked about failure earlier. That empowerment, when people feel empowered that, okay, if I can, if I try something and even if I fail, there's no problem. Nobody is going to castigate me. And that ownership kind of an environment can really help in nurturing innovation. Now, another big thing is that, okay, when you give safe space for ideas and ownership, and you empower your people, making them own their work and own their decision making, that is some kind of a intangible thing to do. However, you have to also provide tangible things, such as you must provide the time for people to take off in order to work on their experiments. You have to also provide a budget because things will require money, and other resources to be spent upon in order to, try things out. And of course, physical spaces are also required for, say, prototyping or brainstorming and so on and so forth. You take the example of Google's 20% time policy. You know, this is a famous example whereby, successful projects like the Gmail and Google News were achieved just because people who are passionate about doing something else than what they are doing in routine in that 20% time policy came out successful and were supported by the management. Therefore, building a culture of innovation in manufacturing can be considered to be creating a vibrant art studio. In an art studio, what happens? The artists are let loose and to come up with their ideas where they, you know, on the canvas, they are in an empty canvas, they're ready to come up with their own, work of art. Is in an art studio, you do not command as to what the artist will produce, right? Similarly, when you start fostering open communication and empowering the employees, it is exactly the same thing that happens. You're not commanding your people to come up with something, you're actually allowing them to flourish with their own ideas. And that's exactly what helps in the culture, in fostering a culture of innovation.
That is so true. And I also love the idea of a safer space for ideas. I think it's amazing what can emerge when people feel free to speak up, or rather, they are allowed to speak up. Now, taking this a bit further, what do you think? How can leaders play this crucial role in fostering innovations within their own teams?
Well, a very good point that you're making, Mehak. It is the leaders who have to set the tone. They have to be the champions of innovation and they have to lead by example. And when I say lead by example, it means that the leader has to be open to new ideas and encourage experimentation and also be open to be challenged by people around him, whoever they are, at whatever level, when his ideas are perhaps not that acceptable to his team. That will actually set the right tone from the leader's side as to the fact that, okay, you have this person who is leading the organization, but at the same time, he's prepared to listen to us, even if it is not his exact idea. And at the same time, it is the leaders who have to decide about the providing the support for innovation by providing resources, the resources that we talked about, like time, budget, space, etc., etc. Even people, perhaps you may have to, get more people into the project that you are thinking of doing as a part of your innovation project. And lastly, but not leastly, we talked about reward, and we have to reward creative thinking, we have to reward creative ideas, we have to reward creative experimentation, and the like. Just take the example of 3M's post-it notes. It is because of the leadership support that an employee's experiment time, which was a sanctioned experiment time from the management, that the 3M's post-it notes came into being, and it has been become a very iconic product and a very successful product ever since. So, what I'm trying to say is this: that fostering innovation as a leader is like being a coach in a sports team. What does the coach do? A coach inspires players to give their best, encourages them to try new strategies, and provides the necessary training and resources. But at the same time, the coach need not necessarily be the expert, like, for instance, what the player is in his or her area of skill. Say, for instance, in the cricket, you know, maybe Virat Kohli is definitely better a batter than, say, Rahul Dravid. But Rahul Dravid obviously is a coach who is inspiring for the team to, win. So by recognizing and celebrating each player's contributions, whether it is big or small, a coach is building always a team spirit that drives everyone to innovate and excel. Just like what 3M's leadership did in the case of post-it notes, and there have been other innovations in from the 3M's table.
Uh, that is amazing. And It's extremely inspiring to see what support from good leadership can achieve. Those small, seemingly insignificant ideas can be turned into groundbreaking innovations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. But one important question that has always been on my mind is how can manufacturers measure the success of their innovative efforts?
Very, very important thing to ask, Mehak, because there's no point in doing something and not knowing what results you are turning out or churning out.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, and as they say, what you don't measure, you don't control, you don't improve. Measurement is absolutely important in this case as well. So, yeah, so there could be, several quantitative and qualitative factors that can be measured to understand how you're doing in terms of innovation. Quantitative measures could be the number of ideas that are being thrown about and how fast they are thrown about. Number of new products, for instance, that are being launched and how fast they are launched. Number of innovations that you're doing in processes, as an example, in order to save time, save costs, and improve your customer satisfaction. Mind you, we always think that, or generally we think that innovation is actually embedded into a product, but that's not always the case. Innovation can happen within the process as well. And we have seen processes being improved, or sometimes steps within the process, or the entire process has disappeared just because some innovative, disruptive idea had come and totally remove the need of that process to happen, or that particular step within the process to happen. And that's the kind of disruptive, innovative ideas about processes I'm talking about. So it's not exactly only for products, it's also processes as well. And when I say processes, it can be a technical processes, say, running a CNC machine, or for instance, maintaining a pump. It can also be a business process. And you can bring innovation in business processes as well. For instance, when I talk about business processes, how can you more efficiently purchase certain things in your company and therefore reduce inventory, reduce costs, and make more company for savings. So that's something that can be discussed in terms of business processes. And we should not forget the qualitative factors as well. There are a lot of qualitative but intangible factors that also can be, gauged through your feeling, through your senses. Things like, for instance, employee engagement and team morale. When you have an energizing culture, which is what the innovation culture is all about, people are motivated and empowered, and people are therefore more engaged in their activity, in their work. And therefore, when you see a vibrant and dynamic workplace, you can take it that that is an indicator of at least an encouragement of an innovation culture. So measuring the success of innovation efforts in manufacturing is like gauging the pulse of a marketplace. When you go to a thriving marketplace, in perhaps in Delhi or Kolkata or Chennai or wherever, or Bombay, you will see that it's bustling, it's successful because it's thriving because a lot of customers are coming and people are shouting to each other, selling and things like that. That's the kind of excitement that you will see in a company or an organization when you see a vibrant and dynamic workplace. And that itself will give an indication that, okay, this is a place where perhaps innovation is happening.
Okay, okay, understood. So measuring the pulse of the team is so crucial. It's about more than just being numbers, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So moving on, can you share an example of any company that's, according to you, excelling in manufacturing innovation?
Yes, there are a lot of companies which are doing very, very exciting things in this area, Mehak. One example that sticks out or stands out is Siemens, particularly Siemens's digital factory in Hamburg in Germany. What Siemens has done is to create that factory, which they call is the future of the factory, and they have used innovation in automation, in data analytics, in sustainable practices by using technologies such as industrial IoT, robotics, AI, AR, VR, and similar other uh, technologies which are cutting edge at the moment. And they have built a factory which is not only producing products which are sustainable as well as using sustainable practices, but they are building products which are near zero defects and uh, also satisfying their customers with faster turnaround time. So all of these innovations that they have put into place there, they're using it as a kind of a lighthouse example whereby they are inviting people, principally their customers and their potential customers, as to how to use all of these technologies to build the factory of the future. So, and embracing these kind of cutting edge technologies is helping them navigate through their manufacturing processes towards greater efficiency, greater effectiveness, greater sustainability, and greater customer satisfaction. And this factory is actually a beacon of hope for many others to, be guided from.
That is amazing. I feel Siemens is truly at the forefront of smart manufacturing. Their integration of AI and IoT is setting new standards for efficiency and quality. And on this note, this episode comes to an end. So, Dipankar, before we wrap up, if you could leave our listeners with one powerful piece of advice to foster a culture of innovation within their own manufacturing operations, what would it be?
Good. One key advice, I think the most important factor that can contribute to one's journey towards an innovation culture is for the leadership to foster continuous learning and curiosity, to encourage a mindset, a questioning mindset among everyone, to ask questions such as why and even why not, and questions such as what if. If you really build a culture where people are always questioning things in a very positive way, not a negative way, in a very positive way, and and therefore they are challenging the status quo, then you will see a lot of empowerment happening. And when empowerment such as this happens and people are allowed to challenge the status quo, it results in a people-centric innovative environment. And that's when you can really expect, transformative changes to happen in your organization. So, you know, to conclude, fostering a culture of innovation is like, navigating uncharted waters. So the leaders have to act as captains and guide their crew through all of these unexplored territories, because you must understand innovation is not something that is not there, which you are going to create. Anything which is there and you're going to just change it a bit here and there is not really innovation. So the crew and the captain are actually going through unexplored waters, and that's where the Fostering of the culture of innovation by the captain of the ship is so important in order to create that environment of continuous learning and curiosity that I spoke about.
Uh, I feel this is really going to be a very motivational session for our listeners. And thank you so much, Dipankar, for your insightful thoughts on building a culture of innovation.
It's been a pleasure, Mehak. Thanks so much for having me.
It's lovely, it's lovely. So, listeners, if you are looking to spark creativity and drive progress within your manufacturing operation, the insights shared today can be a very powerful resource. And remember, innovation is not a luxury, it's a necessity in today's competitive landscape. And if you enjoyed this episode, do not forget to subscribe to The Wrench in the Machine on your favorite podcast platform. Now hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode. And we will be back soon with another thought for disrupting the future of manufacturing. Thank you.